Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a Toyota Chaser JZX100 from 1997 with the 1JZ turbo engine. This one here has been modified to be a drift car. Certainly was somebody's ex-drift car here in Japan. And then this one was bought from auction. We will be sending this one over to the USA. And this is just a post-purchase inspection video to show the condition of the car. Overall, it's got its hits and misses. Many of these drift cars, especially ex-drift cars, are going to be bashed up a little bit. This one's no different. It has some issues with making sure all the body panels fit on properly. I'll show you those in a second. But mechanically, it looks like a nice, solid car. It has a number of aftermarket parts, basically your drifter starter kit, but doesn't seem to have any aftermarket turbo or aftermarket engine internals or anything like that, which can actually be a very good thing because as you get more complicated with your tuning, vehicles tend to become less reliable and a little bit less known. So when this is going over to the USA, you're taking someone else's project complete with all of the little things that they had to do as compromises to get things working properly. And the more modified, the more little things like that there's going to be. So anyways, we'll take a look at this. It looks like a good car. It looks like body panels could be a little bit straighter. That's probably your biggest problem. But let's jump into this. First off, the engine. The coolant. I just realized I didn't check earlier in the report. So coolant looks like it needs to be changed. I don't know if I trust that. That's really hard to put on. I don't know if I trust the mix of coolant to water. If it was somebody's drift car, I'm not sure if it's going to work for all 4 seasons. So maybe time to change that. Our oil. Looks like it was recently changed. We're at about half. Okay, feed that back in there. The 1J, fantastic engine, known to be extremely reliable. And the JZX100 chassis are known to be very tough and dependable in the face of drift walls and known to be able to repeat drifting the most amount of time. So although these are rather pricey vehicles, a lot of people love them. They're very iconic, especially the ones that have wide fenders like this and crazy stretched tires and wheels. It is very attractive, I must say. So aftermarket air filter here, aftermarket strut tower brace. Okay, aftermarket engine torque damper. And not something that serious people usually put on their engines, but it is there. Aftermarket radiator, aluminum one, including specialty piping in order for it to fit in here. Kind of interesting. All right, and then we have an aftermarket front mount intercooler and an aftermarket oil cooler right up here as well. Okay, besides that, the things that you can't see, it's got a very drift spec clutch on it. It has an engagement point of about 5 millimeters between the go and the not go. Not my favorite to drive. If it is your car, you'll get used to it. If it were my car, I would probably get rid of it as soon as I can and just go back to a stock clutch, unless I was going to exclusively use this car for drifting. Also, the front knuckles have been modified, so it can now turn tighter than stock. And then, of course, suspension, and then it has a straight-through exhaust. That's why I don't have the engine running right now. The exhaust is brutally loud on this. It's so loud that it seems like it is intentionally made to make people annoyed. As a car enthusiast, I love a nice, loud exhaust if I'm on a racetrack. But if I'm in my neighborhood, I don't need a reason for my neighbors to hate me. Okay, so not much else to say about the engine room, so let's go ahead and close this. Hood dampers work, which is nice. Okay, you get a quick look at the car. And yep, the JZX100s, some of the best looking sedan-shaped cars that were ever made. Some of the best driving sedan-shaped cars, in my opinion, as well. So here's the auction inspection sheet. I'll quickly translate this. There's a lot of stuff to go over, so skip ahead. There's going to be markers in the YouTube video if you want, if you're not interested in knowing kind of the details about this. But let's jump into it. It's a 1997 Chaser Tourer V. The Tourer V is the turbocharged one, so it puts out from the factory 280 horsepower, but extremely easy to modify. And with stock internals, 400 is very easy to get. Auction rate R, interior C, power steering, power windows. Sales points are aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket LSD, aftermarket suspension, aftermarket wheels, Okay, its color changed. The seller actually didn't mention that, but it was an original black one by the looks of it. Changed to like a candy apple. Lots of modifications, so see in person for details. Has a roll bar in it. Rear cross member for the roll bar is in the car. Let me just show you that here. There's like an X cross, and it was just sitting on the back seat. And in fact, it kind of dented the back seat right there. But this X cross, I just kind of pretend installed it. I put it into these ones in the back here. It was actually pretty difficult to slot in all 4 of them at the same time to where they're supposed to be bolted in just because of the way that it's designed. So I left those ones just dangling there for shipping, and then you can fuss with it when the vehicle arrives. The roll cage is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 point. It's more than your average any kind of car here, race car or drift car. Usually you get, you know, a 6 point or a 7 point are good ones, or like the more expensive ones. Sometimes you'll find 4 point in a lot of cars as well. Okay, where are we at here? Original outlet. I can't read that, I'm sorry. If this is your car, check your translation. Real Japanese people do the translations, or somebody that can read better than I can. Straight pipe exhaust, wastegate, manual transmission swap from original automatic, aftermarket arms on it, suspension arms. Comes with a number plate on it, even though registration has expired. Mileage unknown car, the gauges have been swapped, color changed car. And yeah, it says 137,874 on here. The mileage is unknown because the gauges have been changed to a TRD one with no history paper to show when it was done. And rear accident has been repaired, hence the R grade on there. So not only rear accident, but front as well. It's your typical story of a drift car. You have giant panel gaps in some places. You have headlights that don't really fit in there properly. On the other side here, headlights that don't fit in properly. More panel gaps. Now naturally, when you've got fiberglass fenders, they're just not going to fit very well compared to your standard steel fenders. It's just how those are. This is your stock hood. Is it? No, that's an aftermarket one. So aftermarket hood and aftermarket fender together, it's going to be a bit of an issue. I'm going to go back to the auction sheet. I just wanted to point out these accident things because it is an important part of this car. We got another panel gap that doesn't line up. The rear is maybe even worse. And then, although these parts look good, on the inside of it you can see that they've been hammered. And then body filler has been used to make them look the proper shape again. But see how the body doesn't fit around the tail light. And unfortunately, if a car has been drifted, there's a very good chance that this kind of thing happens. And then people who drift cars, they just want a car that can go drifting again. The actual lining up of the body panels maybe isn't as important. Maybe even would be something of a badge of honor. Like, yes, I'm so serious about my drifting that it gets broken and I fix it, and it gets broken and I fix it. And then eventually the cars get kind of run down. And it's not super embarrassing if drifting is your thing and you've got friends that have drift cars, because that they know that eventually happens. It is I don't want to get into it, but it is kind of a shame that drifting has taken so many of these and the S13s off the market. But at the same time, it's done because people like drifting. And these are really, truly the best drift car that is available. In terms of reliability, ease of drifting, parts availability, coolness on the scene, which is important. Drifting is about being flashy. Anyways, let's get back to this. So rear floor is bent. Right rear side member is bent. Rear panel is torn and bent. Right rear side pocket is bent. Right rear inner panel bent. Right tail panel is bent. Airbag lamp is on. Rear fender arches have been modified. They're actually custom built to allow the higher offset wheels and tires. Interior wear and dirty, trim, scratch, dashboard comes up or is separated. It's actually not that bad. They often come up right across the vent here. They'll peel up and you'll see the orange of the foam underneath it from the outside. This one doesn't look that bad at all. Much better than I expected it to be. And for being a drift car, I know I showed you the body gaps. I know that can look quite concerning to a lot of people. It's otherwise not a terrible car. Interior is not so bad. The car except for the clutch is generally fine to drive. There are drift cars that are in much worse condition than this. Anyways, back to this. Trim scratch, dashboard comes up, underside surface rust, it looks fine to me. Aftermarket steering wheel. The steering wheel is spaced too close to the owner, and it actually has a quick release, so you can take it off if you want. You can hang it on your door mirror like little Bow Wow does. Seat wear, various scratches, dents, repairs, and paint wave, and then the diagram here. So, replaced. Paint cracks on here, A3 on the side skirt. It's very low, so that's inevitable. AU3 over here, I didn't really see that, but let's have a look. Okay, yeah, I see it. Hammered out. I was paying more attention to all the scratches in this area, and there are a lot. Anyways, back to this. Replaced trunk, A2 on the back bumper, cloudy tail light. Okay, so let's walk around it. I just realized it's starting to get a little bit dark. And yes, what a scene to see something like this on the road. The cars are quite muscular looking, especially when it's really loud, really low, has those big side skirts on it, has Workmeister S1 wheels. You don't see them on the road anymore as much as you used to. Of course, you still see them, but a lot of them have been drifted into walls. A lot of them have just gotten too old. A lot of them have been exported. A lot of the automatics have been changed to manual, so you can continue drifting, or just because manual sedans are awesome. And as a result, it's a treat to see one of these on the road. Maybe you might spend a week or 2 weeks between each time that you see one here in Japan. And they have a very unique sound to them, so you know that they're, I mean, if you've heard them a lot, you know that they're coming. You're like, okay, let's go see the 1J on its way here. They're always lowered, small people inside that can barely look over the steering wheel. Part of that is because a lot of people lower their seats really low here, more than I really like. And this one is no different. The seat has been lowered too much for my taste. Okay, so front bumper. Let's look at the damages here. The front bumper is really not too bad. It has some, it used to have some quick releases installed in here, but those have been taken off, and you have some damage there. This area gets damaged very easily from accidents. The bumper, considering it is a drift bumper, is generally pretty good. And it's got that very cool looking intercooler poking through. Headlights, again, not line up that well. And then they're a little bit cloudy. And then you've got some paint crack damage right here. And some more over here. And as is always the case, I get in more detail in the side panel check video than in this report video. Okay? Can't see that very well, but there's a double vent there, and then some extra vents there. Those are actually functional in reducing lift in the front of the car. For something like this, it's not actually a race car, so it's mostly just for looks and to get you some bigger tires in there. But it does look good. Okay. Side skirts. Very year 2000 style. Okay, and we got a little bit of damage on the door from rubbing against your fender there when you open it. Both door mirrors have an equal amount of paint fade on them, and both have scratches on them as well. Looks like mosquitoes are coming out. Side panels are actually pretty good, and the quality of the paint work is better than your average here in Japan, I would say. There are a few minor scratches, nothing I would really worry about. Okay, now as you can see, that's been built out. And the tires are 225 on probably like a 10-inch wide wheel. So you get a ton of stretch. Also, the left rear tire, the treads have started to peel off. So it's going to need to be replaced at some time. It's probably going to be okay for shipping. And all four of the wheels have a decent amount of scraping on the lip. But they have a large dish in there. The Workmeisters are, look at this and this. Get off of me, guys. Get off of me. And you too. Ha! Just killed 4 mosquitoes in a matter of seconds. That's not going to stop them though. Okay, so some moisture inside that taillight. They're an aftermarket taillight. There's an exhaust valve that you can switch between straight pipe and like resonated, I guess. I'm not sure exactly where the dump is for that, but it is. There's a switch inside. Your badge has been taken off, and this cool aftermarket lip spoiler has been put on. Something like that, oddly enough, is actually functional. And then it has, I've never seen this before, so this is rare and unobtainable. Get off of me. Just don't do it. It's an original roof spoiler from Toyota. So cool. I've seen them for the JZX90. I've never seen one on a JZX100, at least not yet. Okay, and it has a Toyota logo under here that you can see. You can kind of see. I don't know. Cool. I love it. Okay, we have a tow strap down here. Also a large scratch there. Some fitment issues on the rear bumper. Paint crack there for some Bondo that has been used. Rear wiper has been removed. And the rabbit is giving the middle finger. And I'm thinking, you dress up as a pirate like that and you're going around giving the middle finger, maybe it's you that's got the problem, not me. Okay, and likewise, this side is looking good. Okay, all the doors open and close properly. And then we have a piece of carbon fiber that's been added to the B-pillar there. Side skirts have taken some damage multiple times and are cracked there. On both sides, they have the same issue. Okay. 2, 3 more mosquitoes. It's definitely mosquito season. We've had no days under 31 degrees for like 3 months, and it's been intense. Just opening the trunk there for you. And here you can see that other side skirt that's damaged as well. Okay, so inside the trunk, I'm not going to get into a lot of details, but here's your back panel damage. Okay, has some auxiliary floor mats. Looks like your general mats and liners and stuff are kind of missing. Your general hammer marks for a drift car are in both corners. Let's see if we can get this up. Random piece of wood. An RPF1 of all things. Little tool bag. And yeah, it's gone. Someone's gone to town on those insides and around and whatnot. So, not everyone's going to care about that. And JZX100's super rare. Not a lot of people are buying them. They are very sought after. They're also expensive, and that's the big deal. That's why not a ton of, like, most of the ones that are coming in from Japan probably are going to be sold by dealers already landed so people can take a look at them in person themselves. Because especially a drift car version of it is going to have a lot more risk. And so therefore the people importing them deserve to get that reward if they're taking on that risk. Okay, so both seats inside are a match. This has got to be the last car that I shoot. Those mosquitoes are going crazy. They found somebody, and there are no kids playing in the park. And so it's lunchtime for them, even though it's like 4:30. Both seats are saggy, so the previous owner was probably a robust gentleman or gentle lady. And they're from Bride. In general, I prefer Bride seat over Recaro. This has been stitched up. Steering wheel can come off, and it's a D1 spec. I don't know who makes that. 2 extenders and offset. So you feel really dumb having it super, super close to you when you're driving. I would probably take one of those extenders off. Oddly, the Chaser doesn't have telescoping steering, only tilt. Okay, a little bit dirty in here. Certainly has been smoked in, but it doesn't really smell like it. The keys are down there. Have a quick look. That's what the gauges look like. And then you have some extra gauges on the top of the dashboard. And one over here for your tachometer. Kind of small for a tachometer, to be honest. I'll switch that off for now. A charger there that also tells you your battery voltage. This one here is the controller for your DEFI gauges, which are these ones up here. The AC works fine, power steering works fine. The brakes feel like they've overheated at some point and some air has gotten into them, so it needs the brake fluid to be changed. This is an exhaust valve controller. You pull it out like that to, via cable, open up the exhaust. And even when it's closed, it's extremely noisy. You have a USA screwdriver handle here, a TRD, sorry, mosquitoes, a TRD shift boot. You can tell it's an automatic because you have these, which are ETCS, no, and traction off. Spin turn knob, this allows you, I won't do it, but you can click it in, and when it's in, you can just pull this without it locking, and then you flick it out with your thumb, and then it will lock so that it won't move. Pedal covers, one of the worst mods you can ever put on a car, especially if you don't have microscopic feet. And then extra auxiliary floor mat. This doesn't close. And there's actually stuff inside, which I don't know how you're going to get out. Oh, that's easy. Never mind. It actually works with the roll cage. A lot of roll cages don't work with glove boxes, unfortunately. Here you can see the deformation of the dashboard a little bit. Okay, and it says Egoist Racing Club, so you might even be able to find something online by looking that up. Sometimes you can. Okay, these seats offer a decent amount of bolstering. They are, I guess, a decent compromise between a full bucket seat and something for a daily. Like a full bucket seat is great on the racetrack, but it kind of sucks when you're driving it as your personal car. And so these ones are a little bit more comfy, and you can actually adjust how inclined the back is, which is important. Oh, let me not forget this. The roof on the paint has some cracks and some moisture has gotten down below the clear coat and caused it to bubble up. Into the back seats here. This video is getting too long. 21 minutes. Gross. Okay. And then you can't ride in it with that cross beam that hasn't been installed properly. It's going to get in the way. Because the seat is really low, the car is actually generally safe with the cage in there. You don't have to wear a helmet. Your head's nowhere near the any of the bars, so I think it's fine. Just do keep in mind that roll cages in cars can make a regular car fairly deadly if you smash your head on it in a car accident. Okay, I think that's going to be everything. The video got a little bit out of hand with how long it is, but there it is, Chaser JZX100, bought from auction for export over to the USA. As usual, if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.